Why was Tsar Ivan so terrible? What happened to all the Tatars? And did they invent Tatar sauce? How did the Poles succeed in taking and holding Moscow when Napoleon and Hitler could not? I'm Professor Jerome Arkenberg, and I'll answer these and other questions right after this. Hi, Professor Ark here, and I've been teaching a wide variety of history courses at colleges across this country for the past 30 years. In this video, I'm going to tell you all about how the Poles took over Russia, why Ivan was so terrible, the time of troubles, and why they were so troubling. Not one, not two, but 3 false Dimitris, and the rise of the Romanovs. At the end, I'll have the wrap-up quote on this video. But first, make sure to click like, share, and subscribe, and that little bell thingy, so I can continue to bring you more great videos just like this one. Muscovy, as Russia was known until the 18th century, began the period with the rule of Vasili III, who took power in 1505 and held it until 1533. And his reign was mostly one of consolidation, though he did take Pskov in 1510 and Smolensk in 1514 from the Poles, and Ryazan 1517 from the Tatars. Now, the thing to remember, the thing to know about Muscovy, really until the 18th century, nobody in Western or Central Europe or Southern Europe gave a damn about Russia. It was not important. The only reason few scholars today spend so much time studying medieval Russia, and you see it mentioned at this point in Western Civ courses, because Russia will later become highly important and remain so to this day. But in the Middle Ages, nobody gave a damn about it. Not many in Western Europe knew about it. In fact, a French king sent a letter to the Russian Prince of Muscovy, not knowing that the Tsar had been dead for 10 years. Nobody really knew. Anyway, back to Muscovy. Ivan the Terrible, reigning from 1533 to 1584, succeeded his father at age 3. And at first, of course, at age 3, he was controlled by a regent headed by his mother, Helena Glinsky, the powerful Schwisky and Belsky families. In 1547, at age 17, he took power and crowned himself Tsar, the first prince of Muscovy to claim himself as emperor, Tsar. And in 1549, he established the Zemsky Sobor, a weak parliament designed to dilute the power of the boyars, the nobility's Duma. The Terrible One's reign was largely consumed by his attempts to centralize power at the expense of a powerful landed nobility, the boyars, as aforementioned, whose resistance provoked him into a reign of terror marked by incredible excesses of cruelty. At one point, he killed his oldest son in a fit of rage. And his seizure of the realm as the crown as his personal property, along with a decline in the influence of towns and merchants, and a relapse of the peasantry into serfdom. His decisive defeat of the Tatars in 1552 to 56, though, did open the way for Russia's expansion to the east and southeast, into Siberia and Central Asia, led by Yermak the Cossack and the Stroganov family, who at the time were in fact known for their beef. In the Livonian War from 1557 to 82, a long war with Sweden and Poland for control of Latvia and Estonia. Estonia, you see here, being up here, Latvia being this part here, right on the border of Poland and Lithuania. Ivan the Terrible sought an outlet on the Baltic Sea and did manage to seize the port of Narva. However, he was defeated at the Battle of Venden in 1571 by the Swedes, and then at the 1581 siege of Pskov by the Poles, which led to the loss of all he had gained in the war. And here he is, Ivan, submitting to Poland's Stefan Batory in 1581. Ivan the Terrible was succeeded by his second son, Fedor, who reigned from 1584 to 1598. However, Fedor was a weak and feeble ruler who lost most of the power his father had taken from the boyars. Fedor died childless, and the boyars elected his brother-in-law, Boris Godunov, who reigned from 1598 to 1604, as the next Tsar, thinking Boris to be in sympathy with decentralizing the state's power, and Boris up to this point actually had been. But once Tsar, Boris instead sought the powers lost by Fedor, which led to civil war and, unfortunately for him, his own murder. The decade following the death of Godunov, known as the Time of Troubles, because it was troubling and troublesome, saw various boyar factions fight each other for control of the crown, while peasants, townsmen, Cossacks, Poles, and Swedes sought to regain the powers, lands, and liberties lost when Ivan the Terrible ruled. Fedor II, the son of Boris Godunov, took power a whole year after his father's death, but his reign proved short, only a few months in 1605, when he was murdered by the boyars who accepted the first false Dmitry, a pretender who claimed to be the illegitimate son of Ivan the Terrible, as Tsar. The boyars' actions were motivated by the first false Dmitry's advance on Moscow at the head of a large peasant army, supported by Russian, Polish, and Cossack adventurers, seeing in him a savior from the boyars. But after less than a year on the throne, he was murdered by Vasili III, a powerful boyar. Vasili III then proclaimed himself Tsar Vasili IV, who reigned from only 2 years, 1606 to 1608. But the appearance of the second false Dmitry, yes, another false Dmitry appears, claiming that no, the first one was a false one, but I am the real Dmitry, the son of Ivan the Terrible, and I will bring salvation to you peasants and all. And this caused Vasili IV to flee to the Poles. In 1608, the second false Dmitry, at the head of an army of peasants and Cossacks, took Moscow in 1608 and reigned for 2 years. But in 1610, Vasili IV, at the head of a Polish army, took Moscow and captured the second false Dmitry, who was then executed, while Vasili IV reigned once more for one final year in 1610. And here he is, Vasili IV, pleading before Zygmunt III of Poland for aid. And in 1610, of course, the Poles, unlike Napoleon or the Germans in World War I or World War II, did in fact take Moscow. But a few short months later, Vasili IV was again driven out of Moscow by a coalition of boyars, who replaced him with Poland's crown prince, Władysław, or in Russian, Vladislav. But Władysław, who reigned from 1610 to 1612, unfortunately alienated the boyars by replacing them with Poles and attempting to impose Catholicism on the Orthodox Russians. A really dumb, stupid move. Even in Poland and Lithuania, he allowed the Russian Orthodox to continue to exist, but why? I don't know. All this led to another peasant rebellion, led by, you guessed it, a third false Dmitri, who drove the Poles out of Moscow in 1612. Well, at least they held on for 2 years. The third false Dmitri reigned for a year, 1612 to 1613, before he too was killed. And is there a fourth false Dmitri? No. The third false Dmitri was replaced by Michael Romanov, who reigned until 1645, the first of the Romanov, but nonetheless a puppet controlled by his powerful father. However, while he was nonetheless powerful, he was forced to conclude peace with the Swedes, Poles, and Turks at considerable loss. Muscovy ended the period with the reign of Michael's son Alexei, who continued until 1676, restored order by centralizing the state once more and reducing the peasantry once more to serfdom, firmly establishing divine right absolutism. And here is our wrap-up quote. The state and form of their government is plain tyrannical, wherein they exceed all just measure, without any regard of nobility or of people. The making and annulling of public laws, the making of magistrates, the power to make war or league with any foreign state, to execute or to pardon life, with the right of appeal in all matters, both civil and criminal, belongs wholly and absolutely to the Tsar, as that he may be said to be both the sovereign commander and the executioner of all these. To show his sovereignty over the lives of his subjects, Tsar Ivan the Terrible, in his walks or progresses, if he had disliked the face or person of any man whom he met by the way, or that looked up on him, would command his head to be struck right off, which was presently done, and the head cast before him. Giles Fletcher in 1588. Let me know what you think of this quote in the comments section below. Also, what you liked about the video, and what other historical topics or subjects you'd like to see in future videos. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, as it will help me bring you more great videos. And click on that little bell thingy, so you'll know when the next History Waits for No One video is posted. If you want to know more, there are recommended studies on this topic in the description below, along with other ways to connect with me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in